Welcome into another episode of The Latest with Devin and Brennan. We are very excited to hop right in. A lot of hot topics going on right now in sports, both high school and pro. Let's jump into the elephant in the room right away. Patriots, Dolphins did not go the way most Patriots fans wanted.
Yeah.
They lost 27-24, a very tough game. They lost the first round bye. A lot went wrong here. Brennan, why don't you give us your first thoughts?
This picture sums it up right here. Stephon Gilmore did not have a good day. He's basically been unstoppable all season, but somehow Devontae Parker seemed to have a great game against him. He had over 100 yards receiving against Gilmore.
130.
Which hasn't happened against Gilmore in the past 2 years, I want to say, or something crazy like that. But also, it's just the Patriots' offense, dude. Like, I don't know what's going on. He has a lack of weapons, don't get me wrong, but you can't always just blame it on that. Brady just doesn't look the same.
And we'll get into that in a minute. But back to Gilmore, 8 catches for around 130 yards to Devontae Parker. Good receiver, but nothing special. Gilmore's covered much more difficult than him. I was very shocked to see how soft his coverage was, and in a very crucial game with a playoff atmosphere. It was tough losing to Miami, but they always give us a scare. And this time a 3-12 team came in and became 4-12 because the Patriots weren't up to the task. Stephon Gilmore, a big part of that, but then the offense moving right in. Tom Brady,
Yeah.
I thought he had another very bad week. He had a good week against Buffalo coming out of that win, a good 24-17 win against the Bills. But then this week, he just looked, he didn't have it. He didn't have his stuff.
Yeah, he didn't really have much
that
at
pick
all.
6 early in the game.
That was brutal. I don't even know who he was trying to throw. He was either trying to throw to Edelman or the running back that he had out of the backfield, but he wasn't even close to either one of them.
And then he just flat out missed a few throws. He had a few big plays. You think he had one to Philip Dorsett and Landon Roberts. Threw for just under 300 yards, but there's a few big plays in there. So I don't know. I'm having a tough time trusting Brady. He's going into a big matchup with Ryan Tannehill this week against the Titans. So yeah, let's get into that. Tennessee Titans defeated the Texans. They took that playoff spot away from the Steelers and Raiders. So they are the 6th seed playing New England. In New England, Pats are the 3 seed. And to touch on that, it will be, I believe, an 8:15 kickoff Saturday night. Brennan, what are your initial thoughts for this game?
I'm just surprised that Tennessee made it this far with the early struggles that they have with Mariota, but Tannehill's really came up and cleaned up his own offense.
Not the Miami quarterback we've seen in the past.
Yeah, but there's a guy on that, A.J. Brown, a rookie. He loves the deep ball, and Ryan Tannehill loves throwing it to him, and every time it seems to come down with it. So, and Gilmore, that's the one thing this year he might have had a problem with is the deep ball coverage. Like Devontae Parker exploited that a little bit, and then of course Lamar Jackson exploited that with his tight ends against Gilmore also. So I'm just trying to see if Gilmore can lock it up more than he did this past week against the Dolphins and against A.J. Brown.
And a few ex-Patriots coming into the building, especially in the cornerback position. Logan Ryan and Malcolm Butler coming to get revenge on their former team. It'll be very interesting to see how they match up against Patriots receivers. Edelman should play this week, and you got to think N'Keal Harry's got to step up. Philip Dorsett, healthy again. We need him to have a big game.
I'm so underwhelmed with Mohamed Sanu. Like, it's great. I don't think he was worth a second-round pick.
He had that great game against Baltimore where they got crushed, but he had a great game, and that's been it since.
Yeah, that's the only thing he's done.
But for me, it's going to have to step up is the running back position. I'd love to see the Patriots utilize James White a lot more this week. I think he's going to be a big part. Throwing those screen passes, those button hook routes. I'm trying to think of the word. It's the word that Mahomes always throws.
Oh, just out routes? Like literally Mahomes.
Yeah, out routes, just quick, easy passes. Check downs, rather.
Yeah.
That's the word I was looking for. Finally came to me. We need to see a lot of that to James White. I think Sony and Michelle needs to have a big game because Titans' secondary is pretty good. And, yeah, I think – but more importantly, this defense needs to have a huge game. They're coming off a loss against the Miami Dolphins, who scored 27 on them. Bump and run Gilmore. I don't know why I led with that, but I'm going with it. He needs to step up after having Devontae Parker just completely do whatever he wants to.
Also, who's quiet? Jamie Collins. In the beginning of the season, he was getting Defensive Player of the Year looks. And I haven't heard anything since.
Is he hurt? I think he's hurt, I'll be honest.
But I saw him play against Miami. He had a couple tackles against Miami, but he's really been quiet.
Want to know who's been a very underappreciated part of this defense is Adam Butler. He's had a great season for the New England Patriots, making tackles just all over the field. he has been unbelievable, a big underrated part of this Patriots defense. And same goes for, what's his name, Danny Shelton. He's had a great game.
Body. I love that guy.
He's had a great season so far. And then with those linebackers, you got the Pro Bowler Dante Hightower. He needs to continue to be consistent. And yeah, hopefully the Patriots will be able to pull out the win. But this is what I'm most scared about. Derrick Henry, the rushing leader in yards for the season. He is going to. The Patriots have proved to not step up against running backs this year. You think a lot of teams have run all over them. So I think the Patriots need to step up against Derrick Henry.
Yeah, there's not a lot of teams, the Patriots that played this year, that have this big Marshawn Lynch type running back in his prime. And Tom Brady in that offense, I don't know if they can keep up with a guy. If he gets hot, that's going to be a hard offense to keep up with. And I don't know if the Patriots have the offense and readiness to do it.
It will definitely be a closer game than most people expect. The Titans have quite the resume, knocking off Kansas City. They've beat Houston twice. They're a solid team coming in here.
They're not bad.
Very underwhelming to most people. They think, oh, Tennessee. No, they're a strong ball club, and I think they're definitely going to give the Patriots a run for the money, if not take their money. So it'll be very interesting and exciting. But let's take a look at our full NFL playoff picture here, and we'll each go through, say our decisions and why, for the first week, of course. So Patriots-Titans, who do you like? Final score, why?
All right. I like the Patriots because against the Titans, I just feel like the Patriots just had more experience all around every aspect of the ball. But this year hasn't really seemed. Adversity is usually what the Patriots like to use, like last year especially. But they turned it on last year. But I haven't seen that switch get turned on this year. But with that being said, I still take the Patriots over a team like the Titans that really doesn't have a lot of experience, with a final score of 27-24.
I'm going to agree with you. I think it's going to be a nail-biter. I think the Patriots are going to come out on top for a few reasons. I think there's going to be a lot of turnovers in this game. Not very good weather, so you're going to think maybe Henry will fumble the ball once. That could also happen our way, though. I see the Patriots pulling out a nail-biter, but Tom Brady's going to have to step up. Ryan Tannehill, I don't think is going to be able to shine under the lights, although he has had a pretty big game. So I think Tom Brady, playoff Tom, will come out. Coming off a tough loss against Miami, they're going to come out looking for a revenge and pull out a close one. I'm seeing something along the lines of 27-17, something around there. So Houston and Buffalo.
This is a toss-up. Their offenses are very similar. With Deshaun Watson, of course, is more mobile than, say, a Josh Allen, but Josh Allen definitely knows how to use
I would not say that. Josh Allen, one of the best mobile quarterbacks.
Okay, Deshaun Watson's easily faster, more
I would
agile.
not give Deshaun Watson a mobility award. I'd say they're pretty even. Josh Allen was the rushing leader among quarterbacks last year before Lamar Jackson. He's a talented rusher. I would not count him out in the run game.
I mean, I'm just saying they have similar type offenses, but I like the Texans in this because they're playing at home. I love the Bills. I love what they're doing. I love Josh Allen, and that defense is really something not to screw with. But I like the Texans a lot because Deshaun Watson has a player like the DeAndre Hopkins or even the running backs out of his backfield. There's a ton of options there, and then the defense. They also got a catalyst of their defense back in J.J. Watt, which I believe that's going to be a huge turning point for the Texans.
Final score.
I believe that's going to be a close one, too, of a score, like, I want to say, like, 24-20 or something around there.
Yeah, this one, I agree with you, very much a toss-up game. I think it's going to come down to team defense. I think both teams have very similar offenses. Obviously, the Texans have one more star in DeAndre Hopkins, whereas Bills have John Brown. But I see it coming down to defense. You think the Bills have Tre'Davious White, tied for the interception lead with Gilmore and not Damian Harris, the Vikings guy. But I think that the Bills' secondary is a little stronger. They have some good safeties. They have a great D-line. And the Texans getting Watt back, as you said, a very good point. Their secondary could use improvement. They lost Tyrann Mathieu last year. I think it's going to come down to team defense. With White, considering that Tre'Davious White is on DeAndre Hopkins, I can see Buffalo pulling off an upset here. I think it's going to be a final score of 24-17.
Yeah.
So moving on to Minnesota, New Orleans.
Yeah, I like New Orleans in this game. Drew Brees has had a miraculous season since coming back from that injury, and they just had Michael Thomas. That man's just a machine. And I love their defense, too. Marshawn Lattimore, he's really improved this season compared to last year.
Cameron Jordan, that's another guy that just
really, it's just been consistent the past 5 years in the NFL. But I just love New Orleans at home. I just feel like at home in that Superdome with that rowdy crowd, Drew Brees always gets into it, and then he'll just start torching opposing defenses. And the Vikings have had their struggles this year, and Kirk Cousins usually doesn't do well under the lights, so I believe the Saints are going to win this game.
Final score prediction?
Final score, I think the Saints are going to win probably around 35-21. I feel like it's going to be a 2-score game, and the Saints are going to run away with it.
So I like the Saints, but I could definitely see Minnesota pulling something off. Minnesota, arguably the best secondary in the NFL. You think they have Harrison Smith, one of the best safeties in the NFL, Xavier Rhodes.
Xavier Rhodes hasn't been that good this year.
But
though.
he is a good corner. He is a very talented corner. Then you think they have Harris. I think his last name is Harris. He's a cornerback, and he has 6 interceptions, tied for the league lead. They have a very talented secondary.
They have
Kendricks
Griffin
at line.
too, yeah.
Everson Griffin. Very talented linebacker in Kendricks. They have a strong defense, so Michael Thomas is not going to be able to pick them apart. And I don't know if they can get Antonio Brown. I think that ship has sailed.
Yeah.
But assuming they don't have him, New Orleans does not have a lot of options because Michael Thomas is going to be double-teamed with that really good secondary. I think New Orleans and Minnesota are going to have a very tight first half, and New Orleans will pull away in the second half. I like what you said around there. I'm seeing 28-17 New Orleans.
Yeah.
Maybe 31-17. Moving on to our final game, Seattle and Philly.
I know this is my upset game. I like the Eagles in this game. There's something about Carson Wentz this past 5 games where they've been playing unbelievable football, knocking out the Cowboys out of that division race, and they've just been beat teams that they weren't supposed to beat. And Carson Wentz has played like an MVP the past 5 games, like his old self, and that's why their record's been so good, and that's why they're ultimately playing at home against Seattle. But I like the Eagles in this game because their defense has really stepped up. The Mills, he came back from an injury this year, and he's really been a catalyst on that defense that's giving Carson Wentz more opportunities with the football. And just another guy like Fletcher Cox, always consistent. And big games like that, you saw it 2 years ago in the Super Bowl. Players that you wouldn't expect to step up on the Eagles. And that crowd is one of the most rowdiest crowds. And playing at home, I just feel the Seahawks don't really have... Because their offense has DK Metcalf and Marshawn Lynch. I still think he's washed up. Like, cool, you signed Marshawn Lynch. I don't care.
Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, but Tyler Lockett, yeah, that's going to be an
Jacob
issue.
Hollister even.
Yeah, Jacob Hollister, he's had his ups and downs, but this is really his first time as a starter in the playoffs. I just feel like the Eagles just have a great chance of winning at home. If it was the other way around, the Eagles were at Seattle, I would think Seattle would win in a landslide, but... I like the Eagles in this one in a tight game of I want to say a low scoring too, like 17-14, something like that.
This is a tough one. Philadelphia, another great secondary. They have Malcolm Jenkins, Ronald Darby, and then like you said, they have Fletcher Cox on the defensive side of the ball. But Seattle has a good defense as well. You think they have the Griffin brothers. They have Bobby Wagner, the tackles leader. He is been pretty much a big part of their defense, Bobby Wagner.
Yeah, the thing about the Seahawks, I just don't like their safeties. Their safeties, give me, I don't know. There's just something about them because they're not the Legion of Boom character of what they used to be, and that's what that Seahawk defense was really stranded on with Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas making big plays that would just give them more confidence.
Yeah, I don't know. I just really like Russell Wilson. He's 4th in the MVP race. He didn't have a great week last week. Against the 49ers. A slow week. He didn't play terrible, but a slow week. Marshawn Lynch coming back, but you're right. Philly is a tough place to play. They clinched their division barely. They were a 9-7 team.
Yeah.
But Philly, not an easy place to play. But I think Russell Wilson, he's been to this show before. He's going to be calm, cool, collected. And I think Carson Wentz is a very overrated quarterback. I've said it forever. I really don't like Carson Wentz.
Yeah,
I think he's very overhyped.
Yeah, I had the same opinion as you. It's just the last 5 games with the weapons he had, which is very depleted. They have a guy named Nick Ward who came up out of the practice squad and is their second-string receiver right now. And Carson Wentz has been proving everyone wrong. And Miles Sanders, I love that running back.
And Boston Scott had 3 touchdowns last week too.
Yeah, so now they have versatility at the running back, and at the running back position, and I think the Eagles are just getting stronger.
Yeah, I see Seattle in a close one. I'm thinking 24-20. I think it's going to be a really good game, fun to watch. And I would say probably the best matchup here.
Yeah.
I would say it's going to be the tightest game.
Yeah.
So moving on around the NBA, not a good picture, but the Milwaukee Bucks just seem unstoppable.
They're
lately.
nasty.
They seem absolutely unstoppable. Giannis Antetokounmpo leading that team.
The thing about me with Giannis, he's starting to shoot threes now, which is scary.
Do you see anyone stopping them?
No, like honestly, not really. Like the Celtics, like
They have a really good team defense.
They have a really-
I think that
yeah.
could definitely.
Yeah, that could do that, but their interior paint with the Celtics, I just don't believe Enes Kanter and Daniel Tice can cover a guy like Giannis. And then the Raptors, nah. But I don't even want to get into that. But I like the Sixers against the Bucks. I feel like that's the only team that can really match up because they have a guy. They can have a double team of Ben Simmons. It's a player like Giannis, not really built like Giannis, but they can have a double team of Embiid and Simmons. I feel like that could be the only way that Giannis could be stopped.
Strong ball club. I think the Celtics and the Sixers, because of their team defense, can hang with them. But moving into the Celtics, one of the biggest debates is Jayson Tatum or Jalen Brown. You got to keep one. You got to get rid of one. Brendan, who are you taking and why?
I love Jalen Brown. Jalen Brown, I just feel like he's more consistent, more athletic. He can go into the interior, which he's shown with his athleticism every time to the rack. And his three-point shot is only getting better. He's more efficient this year than Jayson Tatum has. Jayson Tatum is really taking that Kobe-esque kind of player, taking about 25 shots a game. And sometimes he's hot. That's where he gets his 30-point games. But other games he only has like 18 or something. And he goes like, I want to say maybe like 8 for 25 from the field. And he's really not helping anyone.
Yeah, I have been an advocate of Jayson Tatum, but recently, just based on the more team-style player Jalen Brown is, I think I would prefer him with this Celtics offense, thinking you got Kemba Walker. I really like Jayson Brown. Like you said, he is arguably the best three-point shooter on the team. Jayson Tatum is more of an ISO-type player. He trained a lot with Kobe, which, as you said, shows in his playing style. So I think I'd have to agree and go with Jalen Brown here. Just because he doesn't have much more experience, but he's more of a team player. Yeah. And I really like that aspect about Jalen Brown versus Jayson Tatum, but they're both very talented. Both deserve to be in the All-Star game, averaging above 20 points a game. And I think they're a big part of why this Celtics team, who arguably has a little bit less talent than last year, is performing 5 times better than they did last year because of these two guys, Kemba Walker being added to the system. So, yeah, moving on. The NHL Winter Classic was yesterday between the Dallas Stars and the Nashville Predators. Dallas pulled out a 4-2 win after scoring 4 unanswered goals. Corey Perry was ejected in the first period for a hit to the head. But long story short, Dallas, a great game. We just thought we'd show you a picture of that. Pretty cool event in hockey that went down. But the Boston Bruins they look back to their old ways. Their shootout woes have continued. They lost to New Jersey in a shootout. In New Jersey, the worst team in the Eastern Conference. So that was kind of embarrassing. But David Pastrnak named captain of the All-Star team. Brad Marchand, I think he did not make it this year, but Tuukka Rask did. Tuukka has been looking much better, along with Halak. And I think this Bruins team could be back on track. What do you like?
The Bruins shootout woes, of course. I just believe as the season goes on, when it comes to the third period in crunch time, I believe the Bruins are going to get way better than they are now. They're going to find their ways to score in the third period or just get a burst of energy that other teams can't stop. And that's what they did last year, and I believe they can do it again this year because I believe they have more talent and more experience.
I agree with you. I just like to touch base in the Western Conference. The San Jose Sharks, a horrible team. Bottom of the Western Conference, but you have to think how much talent is on this team and how there is any way that they're not the top team in the West. You think they have Joe Thornton. They lost Joe Pavelski to Dallas, but I think they have Patrick Marleau back. He's old, but still a very good player. Logan Couture, Brent Burns, Erik Karlsson, former captain of the Senators. They have so much talent on that team. I don't understand why they can't produce or win games. Martin Jones, talented goaltender. They've been to the Cup. They know They know what winning is.
Yeah.
I don't get why they're not. Do you have anything to add on to that?
I just believe when it comes to hockey and a team not performing, it's just coaching.
Yeah, there is a lot to do with coaching, and sometimes you just can't. You're just snake bit. Like you think the Devils, they just got rid of Taylor Hall. He's now in Arizona.
But
they had Subban Hall,
meshed.
Jack Hughes, Wayne Simmons, and still the Devils not a good team.
Yeah, maybe it's just team chemistry. Maybe it's just play styles not coming together. Like Karlsson, he's been on horrible teams. Ottawa Senators, like he He was at the peak of his career when they played the Bruins in the playoffs and made it to the Eastern Conference Finals that one year against the Penguins, but they lost. But other years, the Senators were garbage, and Erik Karlsson was just a depleting guy on that team. And I believe he's just back to his old ways with the Sharks.
Yeah. Moving on, Jordan Binnington, arguably the Vezina candidate favorite. He has looked absolutely outstanding, turning down what we predicted that he had a freshman unbelievable year.
No, this man is just
he's
in cruise control right now. It seems like every puck that comes his way is either saved with his glove or it's just hitting some part of him. And his athletic ability in the cage with those cross creases, I forgot what team that they were playing, but he made some miraculous save where he came from one side of the net to the other and probably a probability of 10% chance of saving that puck. He just performs.
Yeah, very talented goaltender. Definitely something to keep an eye on. But moving on, Spartan Hockey, they are on a 4-game skid. They have, unfortunately, I hate to say it, have not looked good at all as a team. They lost to Auburn first, then they lost to Minnetonka 5-0. Lost to Amherst. I believe that one was like 4-1, 5-1.
It was 5-1, and then they lost to Agawam 2-1.
And that one, as pictured here, one of the most devastating losses as they come. With 24 seconds left, Spartans had a face-off in the offensive zone. Agawam 2-on-1, following a lost puck. Or 2-on-1, 2-on-0, score, 10 seconds left. Spartans lose, heartbreaker. But I don't understand. This is probably the best team since our freshman year. You think of all the seniors. They did lose Mark Shvetsov. He broke his collarbone, arguably the best player on that team. So that was a big loss for them. They have Travis Arnold. He should be back from a concussion. Thomas Garvey still out. So a lot of injuries. But I still don't understand why this Spartan hockey team cannot just put wins together.
I just see with Mark Shvetsov being injured, it's a bunch of like mix up with the lines. So like there's Teddy Kuhn that's coming into the game, there's Aiden Asher that's coming into the game, and then Liam has jumped around and had a bunch of different line mates. So I just feel like their chemistry is a little messed up, and when their chemistry messed up, they turn over the puck a lot and their defense can't.
But you know, Coach Reed doing the right thing and mixing up the lines. Yeah. Luke Haynes going up to the first line and producing with the only goal against Agawam. He's on that first line now with Moynihan and I believe Kervik. I think Saraceno's dropped to the second line with Miller and Morehouse, or Kervik and Saraceno are switched, whatever the order there. And then Dobek has been moved to center, and then I believe Kuhn is on his line, and Liam Asher. So it'll be interesting to see, but they need to start putting the puck in the back of the net. Dante has not played terrible.
Dante has been pretty good. It's just been unfortunate sequences that the Spartan offense has been turning over the puck in their zone or just getting one shot on net and then the other team gets momentum up the ice. And it just seems like Dante is just put in positions where it's hard to make saves.
They got to be more aggressive. From what I've heard, I haven't been to a game yet, but from what I've heard is it's a lot of just kind of floating around on the ice. Of course, my opinion doesn't mean much because I haven't been there, but if they can be more aggressive, I think that they can. If they battle for every puck, if they treat every shift like it's their last, I think we're going to see a strong team. And they're coming out with a vengeance tonight against West Springfield. This is going to be a very tough matchup. West Springfield defeated Longmeadow 3-2. Longmeadow defeated Minnetonka 9-2, and Minnetonka defeated us 5-0. So West Springfield, a very strong hockey team. Last year they tied us 3-3. That was a very thrilling game, one of the best of the season. And then also beat us, I believe, 7-3. But coming in, Olympia Ice Center tonight, it's going to be a very big contest. I think we're going to see a lot of hitting, a very physical game. Could get chippy. As this rivalry has brewed over the past 2 weeks, or past few years, past 2 years, been a lot of it's a new rivalry between East Longmeadow and West Springfield that's developed. So yeah, anything you looking out for this game?
I just want to see more energy out of this Spartan team. All I've heard today is that it's a new year and this new hockey team is going to shock everyone tonight, which I want to believe. That first period is going to be pivotal.
Here's what's going to happen is if the Spartans can keep their heads up after allowing a goal, if that happens, I think that they can continue to play well. But if they just give up after letting a goal or two in, that goes from Dante and the players on the ice. I think that's going to really hurt them. I think they have to keep their heads in the game, bear down, even if they lose by a couple goals, just go out leaving everything on the ice, and I think that'll help them. So moving on to basketball, the boys lost to Minnetonka by about 30. They lost to Central by even worse. We won't even say that. But two strong ball clubs coming in here and doing what we expected.
Yeah.
The girls still have a winning record. I'm not sure what it is.
I want to say they have 2 losses and like 4 wins, something like that.
Yeah, but Spartan ball, Paul Gosselin the sophomores looked absolutely outstanding for them. And then you have the veteran leadership from Anthony Gamaras and Jack Sweeney, Eddie A.G. as well. They're a young team, but they look good together.
Yeah, I like to see Ryan Lindsay come back on the court. He's a great lethal shooter. He's been injured for the first couple games. I believe that him on the court can give them more spacing and more opportunities on offense.
And then on the girls' side of things, you got Nicole Coolidge and Gianna Langoni, who've been tearing it up. The two big men, we'll say, just for loss of better words. They have looked absolutely outstanding. Centers. We'll call them centers.
Yeah.
But they've looked absolutely outstanding. And then you have the point guard in Ailey Weiss, who's looked good, and then the physical aspect that everyone's been showing. They've looked really good.
They just play with a lot of energy, and I love it. I just gotta say that it seems like their chemistry is very good. They always have great energy. They have a ton of fans behind them at every game, and I feel like I think they're gonna make a playoff run.
Yeah, that'll be exciting. Hopefully we can get a call on LCAT. But that pretty much sums up our show. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to bringing you more of the latest in the near future. But as for all of us here at LCAT, Brennan McLaughlin, Devin Dobeck, we'll see you next time.